pundits explain these changes. In terms of global identity and of global process of modernization, these worldviews fit under the broad umbrella of globalization. Emerging as a major academic discipline in the 1980s, globalization saw its pivotal development take place during the 1990s. As a relatively new field, globalization lacks a basic framework, curricula, methodology, and even an agreed upon definition. Like so many others, grand worldviews, globalization offers the temptation of being whatever an author claims. Depending on the author, the term globalization is either a lens of interpret the modern age or a simple summary of the times in which we live. In theories of globalization, Barry Oxford presents an intensive collection of the recent scholarship and usage of globalization. Oxford's first challenge in the presenting a coherent definition of globalization. His book counters the work of Justin Rosenberg, a scholar of globalization who argues that since theories of globalization lack intelligible by hypothesis, almost anything can be described as globalization or ascribed to it. Oxford's answer is to separate the usage of understanding of globalization into three separate concepts: globalization, globalism, and globality. Globalization refers to the process of direction of change over time. Globalism refers to a globalism refers to a set of ideologies ranging from the worship of the free market to global jihadism. And globality is a single socio-political space on a planetary scale. Oxford does not present his own definition or theory of globalization. Rather, he codifies the major intellectual intellectual currents of globalization. Seven of the book's nine chapters analyze recent scholarship on globalization by the discipline. Oxford argues that recent economists have largely ignored the theoretical study of globalization. Other than economics, globalization theories have been applied throughout the social sciences. Ox- Oxford starts by examining how political science, geography, and sociology have a traditional reliance on the nation states and national societies as their dominant lens used to interpret the world. An additional chapter focuses purely on the changing nature of the stateness. A major theme in the political framework is the dialectical tension between the perception of static borders and the fluidity of networks built upon social relation. Anthropology, with its a traditional focus on the bounded local community, has shifted toward an analysis of transnational diasporas, the territorialized ethnicities, and migration. Separate chapters are dedicated to geography and concept of respatialization, theories of globalization, and culture. Oxford proposes that globalization challenges existing nation of physical and political spaces as being in dynamic and not static, as well as the tension between local, national, and global culture. With regard to the study of history, Oxford details the meaning of world and global history as well as the historical context for studying globalization. Perhaps the most popular appeal of globalization is the appearance of an increasingly global economy and neoliberal economic policies. While the field of economics, according to Oxford has sparing scholarship pertaining to globalization theory. Theories regarding capitalism are numerous, but for Oxford, the study of globalization as an economic phenomenon and its equation with capitalist expansion still exercises to narrowing an influence on on the global integration. Ultimately, Theories of Globalization is a difficult book to read for a general educated reader without specialized background in the academic fields on which Oxford focuses. The internal academic debates can be overwhelming of most challenges in reading theories of globalization are deeply embedded in its academic nature. The text abounds in overly long sentences, hyper, hyper specialized vocabulary, and exhaustive coverage of arguments between intellectuals in what is essentially one long, although truly expensive literature review. The selection of subjects to review, with the exception of capitalism and political science, can seem arbitrary. Additional chapters on the other fascinating fields like education could have been substituted or added. As a secondary world history teacher, I wanted to read theories of the better understanding by course and the economic and political policies of the modern age. I have been mali na, hindi pala.
May I remind everyone, especially the reporter, na you are going to give a copy of your reporter classmates. Ano niya, nandun sa guidelines, no? Kasi wala silang kopya. That will serve as their reference for the topic. Now, will anybody give us what they understood about the report? Ang topic ni Ballesteros ay theories of globalization. How many theories are there?
Lima po, ma'am.
Anong naintindihan sa report?
Kay Friedman po, ma'am.
What specific theory? Diba may specific theory tayo? When we speak of theory, may title yung bawat theory di ba? Ano yung, diniscuss mo yung theory, JB, pero, or yung author ng theories, what specific names of the theories were you able to gather from your report or from your, ano to, tawag dito, from what you have search from, limbawa sa net o kaya sa Google. While
Meron po,
you're,
ma'am, 8.
will you present that to the class? What are these? Kasi parang kulang yung report mo.
Pwede ba, ma'am, yung galing na sa Google?
Of course, saan naman magagaling ang report mo kundi sa Google at saka sa net, di ba?
Okay, ma'am. Is shared screen ko na, ma'am.
Now, while he is doing that, I think the last topic I gave you did not reach my end of the presentation. O, sige, ikaw na. Diretso mo na yan. Total, nasa iyo na ang floor.
All theories of globalization have been put here under in the 8 categories: liberalism, political
So we have one theory of liberalism, no? So class, tingnan nyo yan. Theories of liberalism, andyan lahat, oh. What are these? There are 8 categories. All theories of globalization have been categorized as liberalism, political realism, Marxism, okay, Karl Marx yan, constructivism, postmodernism after the modernization period. Remember, modernization period, pumasok yan after the, sa panahon ng, you remember RSTS, di ba? Meron tayong tinatawag na anong era yon, anong panahon yon, industrial revolution, no? So during the industrial revolution, pasok na yun sa modernism. Ito postmodernism after that. Then feminism, according to the view of the feminist group, mga kababaihan, excuse me. Then we have transformationalism and eclecticism. So bawat isa sana dito would be discussed, okay, by the reporter, no? You concentrated on Oxford and Company, okay? Will you summarize this? Ano nakikita niyo sa liberalism? Ikaw mag-facilitate reporter. Binibigyan kita ng chance to redeem yourself. Alam ko wala ito sa report mo eh. Kasi naka-Google tayo ngayon, oh.
Theory of liberalism.
Liberalism. Okay? Malapit na tayo mag face-to-face, mga anak. You practice oral speaking. Alam ko meron kayong face-to-face kasi kayo ay mag-OJT, ang mga tourism management, lalabas yan. Diba? Yun yung inaantay nyo na kayo ay lalabas at pupunta kayo sa mga for practicum. Alangan saan kayo mag-practicum sa loob ng sa loob ng computer. Ang practicum nyo ay pupunta kayo sa mga travel agencies, sa sa airports, no, local and international. Yun ang mga lugar nyo eh. Kaya malapit na tayong mag face-to-face. Please practice oral public, parang ganyan, communications, ha? Kasama yan sa ano nyo, ay yan
Ma'am,
ang
kailan
naging
po tayo
problema ng
magpe-face to
ano
face?
to. Yan ang problema nitong online. Not all of you are given the opportunity. Oh, bakit nawala, Mr. ano to, JB? Pinipresent mo na yun. Yung sa ano to. Pinipresent mo na yun, yung nasa Google. Tama yun. Okay. So you may, ayan, you may read. I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing this for the class, ha? Wala kasi silang mahahawakang material. I know you did not buy the book on CW. Meron ba kayong libro ng CW?
Wala po.
Oh, wala. Kaya tayo ay magtutulungan. It's the least I can do, no? Na instead na pabiling ko kayo ng libro, we are given the chance to speak and the chance to have an oral participation grade and a chance for project. Yan lang ang pagkukunan natin sa buong semester. Kaya be active. Now, the rest of you, you may butt in, you may join with the discussion kasi hindi naman ito discussion lang ng ano to, ng reporter and the professor. Klase tayo mga anak. Kaya ano to, mag-react, mag-participate. Ayan na, totally you're given the chance to react on this. Ayan yung mga theory binibigay ni ano to, ni JB. Pagkakataon kasi yung iba walang signal ngayon. May nagsasabi, iba kong estudyante walang signal. Okay, never mind, saka mo na i-edit, wag mo na munang alisin yan. What matters is you are able to project these materials to your classmates. Sige. Yan, theory of liberalism.
Liberalism sees the process of privatization
May problema ka ba sa ano? Okay.
as a market-led extension of modernization. At the most elementary level, it is result of natural human desires for economic welfare and political liberty. As such, transplanetary connectivity is derived from human drives to maximize material well-being and to exercise basic freedoms. These forces eventually interlink humanity across the planet.
So I would suggest yung mga yan, parang maba report mo, isasama mo sa, isisend sa ano to. Copy-paste na lang yan, anak. But please edit. Edit yung mga nakalagay sa side. Alam mo na gagawin mo. Okay?
Opo.
Naintindihan mo ako, JB? Okay,
Opo.
yan. So, yan, halimbawa. Para kasama yan sa maipe-present o isasubmit mo so that your classmates will have something to read. Kasi pag sinend mo na yan sa classroom, papasok yan sa drive, masisave natin yan. Okay? Kasi yan ang raw material nyo for the exam. So after liberalism, 8 yan eh. You proceed. Yung susunod na reporter na present ba? Mukhang nasisave ka na ni JB sa nangyayari. Yung susunod na reporter. Ang susunod na reporter natin ay si Andrade, Carlos Miguel. Parang hindi ko pa to nakikita sa klase natin. Very, maganda tong topic niya, Dynamics of Local and Global Culture. Kultura kasi pinag-uusapan dito sa na topic. So, nandyan ba siya? Teka muna, JB, mukhang nasisave mo na itong susunod na reporter. Kasi I told you there
Kailan
should
po
be...
tayo mag-face to face?
Mamaya tayo, Ivory, magpipicturan after ng report. Bubuksan nyo ang inyong mga camera, those that are able. Mas malaga ba sa yung picturan kaysa sa ang topic?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Sige, mag-antay. Total hanggang 2:30 kayo o Almost 2 o'clock na. Mukhang ang masisave ni JB, ang masisave ni JB ang araw na ito. Kasi wala si Andrade eh. Tingnan ko lang ha. Habang nagpa-practice si JB ng kanyang report. Kasi anong tawag dito? This is spot. Ganyan mga anak ang gagawin nyo sa report. I-exhaust nyo lahat ng possible answers or materials for your report. Huwag nyo iksian. Kaya ako sinabing 20 minutes, that means i-edit nyo man lang. Isa-summarize nyo. Kasi yung 20 minutes, mahaba yun. No? To be talking for 20 minutes, my God, mahaba yun. Kalahati na halos siya ng isang oras. O yan. So, I believe wala si Andrade. O, wala man lang pasabi. Kasi pag nalampasan yung report nyo, mahirap na yan. Kung pinayagan ko yan nung first semester last year, kung minsan nagre-report, lampas na sa panahon. Na iba na yun. Now, I won't. Kung ano yung nakalagay na schedule. Okay? Si Alexandra Londres, hingian ko to ng medical certification kung bakit ano ang sakit niya. Kasi ang excuse niya, may sakit siya. At hindi niya nagawa ang kanyang report. At hindi niya nakita dahil nga may sakit siya. So, yan ang katapat. Let's not create. Huwag kayong you have to use your your resources, anak. Arlene. Binigyan ko kayo ng topic.
Okay.
Ang modules kasi, hindi siya, wala akong module niyan. Ang modules kasi ay, I will ask sa TWG kung may module silang na-prepare. Kasi ang modules, dapat yan coded. What do I mean by coded? Tinanggap yan ng technical working group. Hindi basta, kasi dapat yan, kung ano yung alam nung iba, yun din na magiging alam nyo. Kung ano yung alam nung mga nakaraang klase tungkol sa CW, yun din na magiging alam nyo, hindi pare-pareho. We are standardizing, di ba? Ngayon, kung may pagbabago na, may update na sa modules, magte-train uli kami kasi babaguhin yung modules. Yun yung trend, mga anak. Hindi basta nagbabago. Halimbawa, for 4 years, so 4 na yan, yun yung ideal, no? 4 years mong paiiralin yung modules na yan para yung 4 na taon, halimbawa, nagagraduate, 4 na batches, the same ang alam, bago ngayon magpapalit na ng module, if ever there is a need for updating. Ang updating lang naman, idadagdagan yung dating topic sa modules, or i-delete na yung iba, o kaya pag may pagsasamahin, mga ganun. Pero not necessarily papalitan, kasi that is a intellectual property yan ng gumawa ng module na kasama sa TWG. Meron kami mga working groups, no? And kaya ako kayo pinagre-report, that's an addendum. I will give you the module if I have, pero hindi ibig sabihin, yung galing sa module ng ipe-present nyo, walang dagdag doon. Ba't pa tayo magre-report ng galing sa module? Basahin na lang natin. Wala nang additional di ba? Kaya nga, pag nagre-report kayo, another tip on reporting is for you to look for other sources. Ngayon, kung ang nasa module, kulang, dagdagan nyo yon, no? Or nakalagay sa module, may mga other references, then you can consult that. And then, yun ang isama nyo sa report nyo. Para natutulungan nyo rin yung ibang kaklase nyo na hindi makakapag-surf or makakapag-search nung topics na yun on other references. Ganun lang yun. No? I hope you got me, Arlene. Hindi lahat ng ating report ay manggagaling sa module if you have. Then, what other sources do you think you have? Pwede sa textbook, pero pag ginawa mong report kasi, isa-summarize mo yun. It just so happened that JB is saving the day kasi wala yung ibang reporter. Salamat kayo, pinayagan ko si JB niyan. O, meron na kayong material, meron din siyang report. Pero if not, marami talagang paraan ng Diyos, ano. If not, ay patay-patay ang klase niyo sa akin ngayon kasi ano yun, nakakagulat naman ng lahat ng reporters biglang nawala sa klase, samantalang alam niyo naman yung topic. Huwag niyo sadyain kasi hindi ko kayo bibigyan ng chance, no, na mag-report uli. So, yun. For the purposes of the next reporters, that's what you do, no? When you present, hindi niyo naman ipe-present na word, di magbasa na lang tayo ng isasubmit nyo kesa ganyan. Alam niyo na ba kung paano gumagawa ng mga presentations? Maraming error sa paggawa ng presentations ng iba. We were trained how to do that. Pag ikaw ay speaker, you should know what to present. No? Ang swerte nyo nga kasi hindi ko kayo kita, pero wala tayo sa isang classroom. Mahirap pag nagpe-present na nasa isang classroom. Kasi may cue card ka at magdi-discuss ka, naka-PowerPoint yan. Minsan bullet lang yan. No? Okay? So, nag-iingay ang aso ko, ibig sabihin somebody's at the gate. Ganito na lang. Ituloy mo ang discussion, JB, while I'm attending to something. Okay? And then I'll go back to you. Sandali lang to, 5 minutes lang to. Proceed, anak. Proceed, Mr. Ballesteros.
Sige po. Such explanation come mostly from business studies, economics, international political economy, law and politics. Liberalists stress the necessity of constructing institutional infrastructure to support globalization. All this had led to technical standardization, administrative harmonization, translation arrangements between languages, laws of contract, and guarantees of property rights. But its supporters neglect the social process that lie behind the creation of technological and institutional underpinnings. It is not satisfying to attribute these developments to natural human drives for economic growth and political liberty. They are culture blind and tend to overlook historically situated life, worlds, and knowledge structures which have promoted their emergence. All people cannot be assumed to be equally amenable to and desirous of increased globality in their lives. Similarly, they overlook the phenomenon of power. There are structural power inequalities in promoting globalization and shaping its course. Often they do not care for the entrenched power, hierarchies between states, classes, cultures, sexes, races, and resources. Number 2, theory of political realism. Advocates of this theory are interested in questions of state power, the pursuit of national interest, and conflict between states. According to them, states are inherently acquisitive and self-serving, and heading for inevitable competition of power. Some of the scholars stands for a balance of power, where any attempt by one state to achieve world dominance is countered by collective resistance from other states. Other groups suggest that a dominant state can bring stability to world order. The hegemon state, presently the US or G7 to 8, maintains and defines international rules and institutions. The both advance its own interests and at the same time contain conflicts between other states. Globalization has also been explained as a strategy in the contest for power between several major states in contemporary world politics. They are concentrate on the activities of Great Britain, China, France, Japan, the USA, and some other large states. Thus, the political realists highlight the issues of power and power struggles and the role of states in generating global relations. At some levels, globalization is considered as a identical the theoretical territorial states. States they say are not equal in globalization, some being dominant and others subordinate in the process. But they fail to understand the overthink in globalization does not come down to the acquisition, distribution, and exercise of power. Globalization has also cultural, ecological, economic, and psychological dimensions that are not reducible to power politics. It is also about the production and consumption of resources, about discovery of affirmation of identity, about the construction and communication of meaning, and about humanity shaping being shaped by nature. Most of these are political. Power theories also neglect the importance of role of other actors in generating globalization. These are sub-state authorities, macro-regional institutions, global agencies, and private sector bodies. Additional types of power relation on line of class, culture, and gender also affect the course of globalization. Some other structural inequalities cannot be adequately explained as a outcome of interstate competition. After all, class inequality, cultural hierarchy, and patriarchy predate the modern state. Three, Theory of Marxism. Marxism is principally concerned with modes of production, social exploitations through
Through
unjust
unjust distribution.
distribution, and social
Emancipation.
emancipation
Continue.
emancipation through the transcendence of capitalism. Marx
Transcendence
used
of
himself and
capitalism. Again, anak, may I butt
transcendence
in? Oo. Kasi, bakit ganyan yung first part na yan ng theory of Marxism? Si Marx, di ba, si Karl Marx, advocacy niyan ay communism. No? Doon sa mga ideologies. If you have social ideologies in your class, meron na kayong na-discuss na ganyan, there are different ideologies, no? Isa dito si Karl Marx. Isa rin dyan sa China. If it's not Chiang Kai-shek, kasi liberal si Chiang Kai-shek eh, no? Or si Lenin of Russia, Stalin, mga ganyan. Yung kanya kasi, ano ba ang ina-advocate ng mga communists? 'Di ba yung sila ay magkaroon ng social emancipation. Ibig sabihin ng emancipation parang katulad sa farmer and emancipation from the bondage of the soil. Ang social emancipation naman, yung emancipation from the bondage of the soil, hindi yung para maging malaya ang mga farmers sa pagkagiging alipin ng pagsasaka o pagkaalipin sa lupa. Pagdating sa social emancipation, ito yung parang makilala socially, ma-accept yung kanilang status, no? Through the transcendence of capitalism. Remember, capitalism ang ina-advocate nito na tungkol dito sa mga sa pagkakaroon ng kita. Okay? Sabi diyan, Marx himself, pinapahinga ko lang si JB, himself anticipated the growth of globality, no? That capital by its nature drives beyond every spatial barrier to conquer the whole earth for its what market. Kasi kontra siya sa mga kapitalist, sa mga mayayamang kapitalista na pinahihirapan ang mga middleman o kaya ang mga mahihirap na producers, no? Kasi ayaw niya ng ganyan na exploit. So, ang sa theory niya, yan yung merong concern about social exploitation. 'Di ba? Pag sinabi natin social exploitation, yung parang na-exploit socially ang mga tao, no? Nadidegrade, napapahiya, parang ganyan because of their social status. Kaya galit na galit yan sa mga mayayaman kapag minamaliit ang mga mahihirap. Okay? Kaya yan, no, through unjust distribution. So, hindi pantay na distribute ng mga goods of this earth. Ang gusto niya kasi pantay lahat. Kaya tingnan niyo pagpunta kayo sa communist countries, walang mayaman dun, pare-pareho, no? Hindi pwede yung capitalism doon, hindi pwede yung economic ng iba doon ay pare-pareho. Okay? If you have already this different ideologies, pag maintindihan nyo to, if you understood Karl Marx, if ever meron na kayo no, baka naman napipreempt ko, baka in the future yon. Okay, tuloy mo JB, kasi na pang-apat ka na. You still have ample time bago tayo mag-picture taking, sabi ni Laracas.
Theory of constructivism. Globalization has also arisen because of the way that people have mentally constructed the social world with particular symbols, language, image, and interpretation. It is the result of particular forms and dynamics of consciousness. Patterns of production and governance are second-order structures that derive from deeper cultural and social psychological forces, such accounts of globalization have come from the fields of anthropology, humanities, and media of studies and sociology. Contractivists concentrate on the ways that social actors construct their world both within their own minds and through intersubjective communication with others. Conversation and symbolic exchanges lead people to construct ideas of the world, the rules for social interaction, and ways of being and belonging in that world. Social geography is a mental experience as well as a physical fact. They form in or out as well as us and they groups. They conceive of themselves as inhabitants of particular global world. National class, religious, and other identities respond in the part to material condition, but they also depend on intersubjective construction and communication of shared self-understanding. However, when they go too far, they present a case of social psychological reductionism, ignoring the significance of economic and ecological forces in shaping mental experience. This theory neglects issues of the structural inequalities and power hierarchies in social relations. It has a built-in a political tendency. Theory of postmodernism. Postmodernism. Some other additional perspective of globalization highlight the significance of the structured power in the construction of identities, norms, and knowledge. They all are grouped under the label of postmodernism. They too, as a Michael Foucault, thus strive to understand society in terms of knowledge, power structures shape knowledge. Certain knowledge structures support certain power hierarchies. The reigning structures of understanding determine what can and cannot be known in a given socio historical context. This dominant structure of knowledge in a modern society is a relationalism. It put emphasis on the empirical world, the subordination of natural to human control, objectivist science, and instrumentalist efficiency. Modern rationalism produces a society overwhelmed with the economic growth, technological control, bureaucratic or organization, and disciplining desires. This mode of knowledge has authoritarian and expansionary logic that leads to a kind of cultural imperialism, subordinating all other epistemologies. It's, it does not
Epistemology
it does not focus on the problem of globalization
per se.
per se. In this way, Western relationalism overapes indigenous culture and other non-modern life worlds.
Okay, you proceed with your feminism, anak.
Theory of feminism. It puts emphasis on social construction of masculinity.
I have to correct ha, anak. Emphasis. Pag may isa dulo, emphasize. Okay?
Emphasis,
Okay.
emphasis on social construction of masculinity
Masculinity and femininity.
and femininity. All other theories have identified the dynamics behind the rise of transplanetary and supraterritorial
Territorial.
territorial connectivity and technology, state, capital, identity, and the like. Biological sex is held to mold the overall social order and the shape significantly the course of history. Presently, globality. Their main concern lies behind the status of women, particularly their structural subordination to men. Women have to intended to be marginalized, sliced, and violated in global communication. 7. Theory of transformationalism.
May i-add lang ako, anak, no? About this, yung dito sa theory of feminism. Kasi dito yung panahon ito na yung babae hindi pa masyadong binibigyan ng equal rights. Kaya nga lumabas yung mga subjects like God, gender, no? Alam ko may subject kayong gender and society. Kasi yan yung ina-advocate na tanggapin lahat. Okay, I used to teach gender, no? So naintindihan ko yung mga hindi ko sasabihin hindi normal. Hindi of the same of the same sex. Sex is biological, pero gender is personal. Ibig sabihin ng personal, may mga sasagutan kayo later on ng mga halimbawa mga resume, hindi na nilalagay ang sex kasi sex is either male female lang. Pero pag gender, may choice ka. Matter of choice, no? Kung gusto mo, wag ilagay. Kung ikaw ay nasa transgender, some prefer not to put there. Kaya kamisan choice mo ay not to disclose na lang, mga ganyan. May mga ganun na. Now, itong feminism na theory na to, Lumabas ito because of that tendency, no, for women to be marginalized, yung bang isinasa tabi, no, hindi kinikilala, walang ano to, equal. Ngayon may equality na tayo between the sexes. Okay? So para ito ay ma-silence yung anti-feminism, ano to, attitude of men, no? Kasi noon male dominated world tayo. Pero napakita na, alam niyo na yan, talagang halos hindi naman to overrule the men. Ang purpose nito ay equality. What is what is possible for men, ganun din sa babae. Nagkakaroon lang tayo ng differences syempre in the observance of our sexes. Pero ang ibig sabihin, opportunity should be equal. Okay? Kaya ngayon nga, maski ngayon may paternity leave na eh. Alam niyo ba 'yon? Nagli-leave na rin ang mga tatay pagka manganganak ang mga nanay. Dati wala. So, run through, JB, discuss mo yung theory of transformationalism, no? Ibig sabihin, across. And then yung isusunod, and the last is the theory on what? Theory of eclecticism. Okay, sige. Kasi mag-picture taking pa daw tayo, sabi ni Laracas.
Each one of the above 6 ideal type of social theories of globalization highlights certain forces that contribute to its growth. They put emphasis on technology and institution building, national interest and interstate competition, capital accumulation and class struggle, identity and knowledge construction, rationalism and cultural imperialism, and masculinized and subordination of women. John R. Scotte synthesizes them as forces of production, governance, identity, and knowledge.
Okay. So, this is the thing, no? Bago, kasi we only have almost 6 minutes na lang. The next reporter should not, you should follow the requirements. Ngayon, JB, for your sake, for saving the day, ito yung na-note ko no? This is the premise. Anak, you'll get 1 flat here in your oral participation and project if you will submit your report not later than tomorrow, including this article. Okay? Yan yung agreement natin. At the same time, you have to include in your report yung references.
Opo.
Alam mo yung references, wag mong basta ilalagay na internet. Ayusin na natin ang ating mga submissions. Wag mong basta ilagay na internet, lagay mo yung website. And if it is possible, lagay mo yung author mismo. Sino ba yung author ng lathalaing yan? Kasi kahit yan may website, meron niyang author. Asan yung nakalagay na author dito? Wala ako nakikita. Tingnan mo na lang sa article shared ba yan? Pero tingnan mo, shared yan kasi isang group ito. Ako member din ng isang group ng ganyan na nag-upload ng mga materials. Pagka mga ganyang grupo, pwede niyo yang kunin. You know why? Kasi galing yan sa isang educational institution. More or less, tama yan. Kaysa yung kukuha lang kayo sa Wikipedia. I have nothing against Wikipedia. Yun lang mang credibility of the materials. Kaya, ilagay mo yung website, if possible, the author. Kasi ang website, nawawala yan. Ibig sabihin, napapaso. After a month, wala na yan sa net. Kuha nyo? So that's how you prepare your reports, mga anak. Hindi ko gagandahan ng grade nyo kapag walang references na tama. Kasi pag nag-thesis kayo, mahihirapan kayo. No? Pagka hindi kayo marunong gumawa ng ng reference nyo, yung reference part ng thesis. Okay? So yun na agreement natin, JB. Although the project grade will be given at the end of the semester, but I assure you'll get 1 flat for this and your oral participation as well. Isa lang recommendation, mag-aral ka ulit ng reading. Biro lang. Hindi, kasi hindi tayo ganun I understand that. Hindi tayo ganun. Ang mga bata ngayon hindi kasing fluent namin noon. I-imagine niyo naman, retire na ako. And I am, pagyayabang ko na, I am fluent in oral communication. Teacher ko ng English dati sa high school. Okay? And yan si ma'am, yan si ma'am Figueroa, ay dati ko niya estudyante sa English. Kasi naging cooperating teacher ako niya nung siya ay practice teacher sa English. Okay? So, kasi mahalaga sa akin ang inyong oral communication. Why? Depende nga sa course. Kayo ay tourism management, mga anak. Hindi kayo basta magmamanage ng isang travel agency. Haharap kayo sa mga foreigners in the future. Okay? With that, open your camera to 2 minutes na lang for the documentation na, kasi nga pala, gandang-ganda ni Ivory. Kaya gustong magbukas ng camera. Ako
Hindi
naman,
po, ma'am.
sakit. Kasi I am not feeling well. I did not have my classes kanina, umaga. Because I'm really not well. No? O sige, open yung iba, yung kaya mag-post ng picture sa classroom. Kuhanan nyo na rin. I-maximize yung tingnan nyo itsura ko. Ako kasi I'm not really feeling well. High blood ako kahapon. And I was not able to sleep well. No? Kaya kailangan nating lahat may I do not like it to miss classes. Kaya kahit na I'm not feeling well, kailangan ko magklase sa inyo. Malapit na kasi tayong magkaroon ng F2F. I hope kasama kayo dun. No? Okay, be safe. See you. Offline tayo sa Thursday, but you'll have activities. Okay? Reporters, please prepare, ha? Okay na?
May activities po ba sa ngayon
Sa Thursday,
po?
wala, ilalagay ko na sa Google Classroom. Thursday na yon.
Thursday po. Yung
For
activity po,
Thursday.
ma'am.
For Thursday. Kasi yun
Yung
ay...
activity po, ma'am.
Oo. Kailangan meron kang report ni Kaya nga requirement ko kay Ballesteros, ilagay niya agad yan at not later than tomorrow. Kasi nga, ang activity manggagaling dyan sa report niya. If you okay, you may leave now kasi 1 minute to go. Mayroon pa kayong next class, di ba? Tama ba ako? May next class pa kayo. Ano ka ba ni ate, Miss Nulian? Ano ka ni ate Fanny, Tita Fanny? Apo? Sabi ko na nga. Kanino kang anak? Hindi kay Francis, kala ko kay si Francis, estudyante ko dati. Tito mo. Hindi ko naging estudyante yata ang papa mo eh. Oo. Okay, sige. Be safe, everyone.
Ma'am, sa Thursday
Okay.
na lang po yung activity po natin.